let's start, guys, with that game at Old Trafford. Rob, you were there, so let me come to you first, because I just want to talk about how it's gone down in Manchester, this result. And is the excitement still palpable right now today? Because it does feel as though everybody's still so excited about it and still talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. And you said it right in your intro there, that it's an instant classic and probably will be spoken about for years to come. It feels like that kind of game, that kind of result. Obviously, a massive moment for Man United in their season, not only to beat their rivals Liverpool in the manner that they did, but obviously keeps alive their hopes of a trophy this season as well. You know, the game sort of swung back and forth so many times. It looked like Liverpool were going to win, having gone ahead twice, and then to win it as they did in the last minute of extra time with a goal like that. You know, people are still talking about it 48 hours later. They're probably going to be still talking about it in 15 or 20 years' time. It was that kind of game.
What about you, Janusz? What are you thinking? I see you smiling there. And I just wonder if you think they can go on to win it, if this is going to help them to do that, a result like this.
Look, winning, of course, always does. I don't really want to take anything away from United, even though I could probably sit here for the next half hour and probably give you some facts of what this really means in terms of Manchester United, because they're no different than they were, I suppose. I mean, it's still a bad season. You know, I think of Manchester United to have these levels of concentration every game against the teams that allow you to be to win the championships, because that's the difference, right? I mean, of course, it's easy to get up for Liverpool. That's the game that everyone looks to. United have proven this season that they can do that, and I think for that you have to give them credit, because even though I can't remember what the shots were in the first leg, and it was embarrassing for Manchester United, just as it was against Manchester City, because that's not the sort of United you want to see. But in this particular one, it is Liverpool. It is on the way, perhaps, to a trophy. And so it's hard to take that away because, as Rob said, this was a weird game. And in terms of ebb and flow, I mean, just bad. And it's, I don't think in a positive way in many ways. I mean, you look at the results and how it panned out. But for me, it wasn't a very good game. To me, it looked two teams that were absolutely spent at times, not just physically but emotionally as well in this game. But you know, can't take away from Manchester United, because ultimately, when I look deep down here, they had the better chances. They really had. And Rob, what was it, 95th minute? I mean, it was a 2-2. I mean, Rashford's got to put that away. He had a couple unbelievable chances, and we're not even looking at. I mean, we're still talking about a thriller, but not in extra time.
Do you feel, Rob, that people aren't giving Manchester United enough credit for this win?
No, I think they are. They're giving them the credit that they deserve in the areas that they deserve. I mean, they showed great character and great spirit. I mean, it's been a criticism that's been levelled at some of the players, not just this season, over the years since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, that United, you know, when things are going badly, they just down tools and they don't really care. Well, that wasn't really in evidence on Sunday, and Janusz is right, you know, but it is easier, you would think, to get up for a game against your arch rivals Liverpool in an FA Cup quarterfinal when there's possibly a trophy on the line. I think Janusz is right again, that there are still kind of vulnerabilities to the way that Man United play. I mean, if you replay that game again, maybe Liverpool take some of their chances or make the most of better opportunities in the second half, and the game at the end of 90 minutes is dead and buried, and United lose that game, you know, 3 or 4-1. They deserve credit for sticking in there. They were probably the better team in extra time. You have to give them credit for that. It took an awful lot of fortitude and energy to get them through that extra time period, to the point where, you know, in the last moments of the game, they've still got the energy, or two of them have got the energy to sprint the length of the field, Garnacho to Ahmad, and then Ahmad to have the composure to finish the game off in the way that he did. So you have to give them credit in that sense. I don't think that there'll be many Man United fans thinking, well, this is a turning point in terms of performances going ahead this season. They've still got some very, very big games to come in the Premier League this season, particularly against Liverpool at Old Trafford after the international break, in a repeat of that FA Cup quarter-final. So I don't think Man United fans are possibly looking at it as this is a big turning point under Ten Hag. I think they're just kind of taking it for what it is, a really mad game where they were fortunate enough to come out on the right side of it.
And you know, the craziest part about this game is I was watching the extra time, and Liverpool was playing cat and mouse, but couldn't do anything. You can tell. I mean, making wrong decisions because there was nobody to put away. In a crazy thing that I thought about it, and hear me out here, because obviously they did it for the right reasons. But But I think Jurgen Klopp, when he withdrew Salah early in the game, gave United life. Because I'm telling you, because even if he just stood there, did nothing, and of course he probably needed to come off because he's been injured and all of that. They know exactly where he stands in terms of his fitness every second of the game. But I think United didn't worry about. There was a time where I think if I were Man United, if I was on that pitch and I was a player and I saw Salah going off, I'm saying nobody's going to score now. Really, and you could see that in stoppage time, even to a level where United were chasing the result. But, at one point they played with Maguire. Just imagine if Klopp just left him there and say, you know what, just stand there, because just standing there, you can still, play a quality ball. And obviously there's going to be so much space as it was on a counter against United. There's no possibility that Ten Hag goes back, even losing, goes to one. What was it? Harry Maguire in the end was the only center back. So this is how weird this game was. It's one of those where it's hard to really say anything about the state of Manchester United or Liverpool.
Yeah, and obviously we do talk about the future and how this game impacts it. And you just alluded to it there, Rob, saying that perhaps it's not the turning point for Eric Ten Hag. But what does it do for him? Like, does it buy him any time? Does it give him any grace? At this point, is there anything he could do to change things for what's ahead next season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive win in terms of what it means. I mean, you can go into details about how it was achieved and talk about the merits of that for as long as you want. But in terms of the actual result, it's huge, because ultimately Eric Ten Hag has got two things left to play for this season. It's the FA Cup and Champions League qualification. If they'd been beaten on Sunday, that would remove the chance of ending this season with a trophy. So it gives him life in the FA Cup and gives United the possibility of winning that FA Cup final. There are still massive question marks about whether Ten Hag is the right man to take this team forward next season. Obviously, United have got a new co-owner in Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who's assumed responsibility for the football side. He's making some very, very key appointments in different roles at the club. And at some stage, he's going to make a decision on what he wants to do with the manager. The messaging coming out of Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's camp is that they are going to look at Eric Ten Hag's reign as a whole and not base their decision on whether he can win the FA Cup this season or whether they can qualify for the Champions League. But it certainly does him no harm at all if he can capitalise on the win over Liverpool and get to the FA Cup final and win it, and also somehow find a way of clawing themselves back into the Champions League in the final 10 games of the season. So in terms of what it means for Ten Hag, it's massive, because if United had lost that game on Sunday, we wouldn't be sat here now talking about what a great game. We'd be sat here now talking about the possibility that Eric Ten Hag is going to get sacked, not just at the end of the season, but possibly even before it.